Apart from being a legal requirement to know the collision regulations in good visibility and bad for your vessel, it is very important for keeping you safe. Today, we're going to talk about the ColRegs in restricted visibility. Fog is not the only enemy when it comes to visibility at sea. Rain is a huge one, especially for us in Ireland, and also mist, drizzle, snow, if you are a brass monkey's weather sailor, sand if you're lucky enough to live somewhere exotic, and of course nighttime. Therefore, it is very important for us to know what to do in situations where our visibility is less than perfect. A yachtsman can do 4 things to cut the risk of collision. 1. Use radar reflectors. 2. Have good lookout by sight and sound. All crew should be on deck to help, as sound is drastically affected by fog. 3. Have your engines in standby for immediate and drastic avoiding action. This may be that if you have a slightly dodgy engine, you have your engine ticking over, or if you know that you can rely on your engine starting immediately, just have it ready to go. And 4. Keep clear of shipping lanes. Head for shallow water if your draft allows it. Rule 19. Conductive vessels in restricted visibility. This rule applies to vessels not in sight of one another when navigating in or near an area of restricted visibility. This means where you cannot see with the naked eye another vessel. Every vessel shall proceed at a safe speed, adapting to the prevailing circumstances and conditions of restricted visibility. A power-driven vessel shall have her engines ready for immediate manoeuvre. So, in this section, it means that the Section 2 rules do not apply in restricted visibilities. Everyone is a giveway vessel. Part B of Rule 19 states, every vessel shall proceed at a safe speed, adapting to the prevailing circumstances and conditions of restricted visibility. A power-driven vessel shall have her engines ready for immediate manoeuvre. So, as you can see by this, Rule 6 applies, and what speed we travel at depends on all these factors. Part C of Rule 19. Every vessel shall have due regard to the prevailing circumstances and conditions of restricted visibility when complying with rules of Section 1 of this part. So, it doesn't matter whether you are in restricted visibility or in good visibility, these rules apply. A good lookout by all means possible. By eye, by ear, by radar. Maintaining a safe speed depending on the various factors that would affect your speed, which I showed a graph of earlier. Determining your risk of collision. Avoiding such collision, such as making sure that your actions are early, bold and highly discernible. The Rule 9 narrow channels rules still apply because you are still in a confined seaway. You cannot impede traffic. You have to stay to starboard if you're smaller vessels, keeping out of shipping channels. Rule 10 is still a traffic separation scheme. Those rules will not change. Rule 19, Part D. A vessel which detects by radar alone the presence of another vessel shall determine if a close quarter situation is developing and/or a risk of collision exists. If so, she shall take avoiding action in ample time, provided that when such action consists of an alteration of course, so far as possible, the following shall be avoided. 1. An alteration of course to port for a vessel forward of the beam other than a vessel been overtaken. 2. An alteration of course towards a vessel abeam or abaft the beam. Except where it is determined that the risk of collision does not exist, every vessel which hears, apparently forward of her beam, the fog signal of another vessel, or which cannot avoid a close quarters situation with another vessel forward of her beam, shall reduce her speed to a minimum at which she shall still be able to maintain course and steerage. She shall, if necessary, take all her way off, and in any event navigate with extreme caution until danger of collision is over. So in this situation you have noticed that you have a vessel coming towards you. This is us. You have a vessel coming towards you. You cannot run the risk of collision with them, so you must turn to starboard. The same on these other quadrants. The only quadrant that is different is if you have a vessel in your starboard rear quarter, and if you were to turn to starboard, you would collide with them. So in this situation is the only situation where you turn to port. Rule 35. Sound signals in restricted visibility. In or near an area of restricted visibility, whether by day or night, the signals prescribed in this rule shall be used as follows. A power-driven vessel making its way through the water shall sound at intervals of not more than 2 minutes one prolonged blast. A power-driven vessel underway but stopped and making no way through the water shall sound at intervals of no more than 2 minutes 2 prolonged blasts in succession, with an interval of 2 seconds between them. Basically, you are adrift or becalmed. A vessel not under command, a vessel restricted in her ability to manoeuvre, a vessel constrained by her draft, a sailing vessel, a vessel engaged in fishing, and a vessel engaged in towing or pushing another vessel shall, instead of the signals prescribed in paragraph A or B of this rule, sound at intervals of not more than 2 minutes 3 blasts in succession, namely 1 prolonged and 2 short. A vessel engaged in fishing when at anchor, or a vessel restricted in her ability to manoeuvre when carrying out her work at anchor, shall, instead of signals prescribed in paragraph G of this rule, sound the signal prescribed in paragraph C of this rule. So, again, a long blast followed by 2 short blasts. A vessel towed, or if more than one vessel is towed, the last vessel of the tow, if manned, shall at intervals of not more than 2 minutes sound 4 blasts in succession, namely 1 prolonged followed by 3 short, and then echoed by the last boat in the tow, 1 prolonged, 3 short. When a pushing vessel or a vessel being pushed ahead are rigidly connected in a composite unit, they shall be regarded as a power-driven vessel and shall give the signals in A or B of this rule. A vessel at anchor shall at intervals of not more than 1 minute ring the bell rapidly for about 5 seconds. In a vessel 100 metres or more in length, the bell shall be sounded in the forepart of the vessel, and immediately after ringing the bell, the gong shall be sounded rapidly for about 5 seconds in the after part of the vessel. A vessel at anchor may, in addition, sound 3 blasts in succession, namely 1 short, 1 prolonged, and 1 short blast, to give warning of her position and of the possibility of collision to an approaching vessel. A vessel aground shall give the bell signal and, if required, the gong signal prescribed in paragraph G of this rule, and shall in addition give 3 separate and distinct strokes on the bell immediately before and after the rapid ringing of the bell. A vessel aground may in addition sound an appropriate whistle signal. A vessel less than 12 metres in length shall not be obliged to give the above-mentioned signals, but if she does not, shall make some other efficient sound signal at intervals of not more than 2 minutes. A pilot vessel, when engaged in pilotage duty, may, in addition to the signals prescribed in paragraphs A and B or G of this rule, sound an identity signal consisting of 4 short blasts. A power vessel under 50 metres is obliged to only show one masthead light, a white one. If the powerboat was over 50 metres, it would have 2 white mastheads. The aspect of any of our boats here are shown by our port and starboard lights, depending on which way it is facing. A vessel under sail may show a tricolour, whereby the port and starboard lights are combined along with the stern light. By having this up on the masthead, it makes your boat a lot more visible at a distance versus the deck lights, port and starboard at the bow and stern at the back. A vessel not under command shows 2 all-round red lights in a vertical line. The way you remember this is red over red, captain is dead. The restricted in the ability to manoeuvre vessel shows red, white, red in a vertical line. And the way to remember this is red, white, red, captain making bread. The vessel constricted by a draft is restricted in its ability to deviate from her course, and at night time is shown by 3 red lights. A vessel engaged in trawling, shown as this one, should be given a wide berth, as she may manoeuvre unpredictably when hauling up her net. A vessel involved in fishing, other than trawling, if she has gear extending more than 150 metres horizontally to the seaway, she should show another lower white light. If we look at this fishing vessel, it is showing which direction its nets are out. It is showing us which side we are looking at, in this case starboard, and it is showing that it is a fishing vessel, not a trawling vessel. The red over white is easy to remember because red is like a hot colour, so red over white, frying tonight. See the astern light, the side that the gear is out on, starboard and port markers, and our fishing signals. This configuration of lights shows that a powerboat is under propulsion from its engine. It can also be used for a sailboat who puts its engines on at night. So from this aspect, these boats are sailing away from us because we are seeing its stern lights and its navigation lights, port and starboard. And we have the top mast light showing white because you are under power. For the purposes of identification at night time, this sail yacht would have on its tricolour, showing its port and starboard lights according to which side it was facing, and it would have its port or starboard bow light and white stern light visible, so you can tell if you're looking at the port or starboard side of the boat, hence you get the aspect, or if you are looking at the stern light, you will know that the boat is going away from you. If a sailboat is travelling under power, she must off her tricolour and put on her steaming light, which is a white light, denoting that she is under mechanical power. In the situation of the tug and tow, the tug lights, to identify it, is a yellow light at its stern. When it is towing, it is restricted in its movements, hence you have the restricted manoeuvres light setup. And then depending on what size of vessel or even train of vessels that the tug is pulling, if it is over 200 meters, you would have 3 white lights. If it is under 200 meters, you would have 2 white lights. In the case of a pilot boat, the identifying lights are white over red, by comparison to a fishing vessel, which was red over white. A dredger at work will show 2 green lights on the side clear of obstructions and 2 red lights on the side that is foul. So because the dredger is restricted in its ability to manoeuvre, it shows the restricted manoeuvrability lights. A minesweeper shows 3 green lights in a triangular shape. A minesweeper with gear streaming on both quarters, by night each of the 3 balls would be replaced by a green light. It is dangerous to approach within 500 meters on either side or 1 kilometer astern. A vessel that is run aground is considered not under command, so it has 2 red balls and your anchor light to show that it is not moving. A vessel at anchor will show off its anchor light, which is all round white light. If it was a larger vessel, there would be 2 anchor lights, one at a lower distance from the deck. I hope you found this video useful and informative, and if so, please join me again next week. For the time being, take care, God bless, bye!